write them down in the card that's behind the pew and bring them up so we can read them later. Appreciate. In a few minutes we'll get started. Do you hear? Is it not loud enough? Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So welcome to both the sanctuary and online to the Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg on the unceded lands of the Tocobaga and Seminole Native Americans. My name is Allison, and I'm excited to bring you today's worship service, Renewal through Mindfulness, with today's worship associate, John.
Thanks, Allison. If you want a church that honors the independent web of all existence, that celebrates that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology, and declares that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness, I have good news for you. You may find my church home.
We welcome small children with their big energy to be with us for the start of our services. Partway through the service, we will sing the kids away to our religious education classes. If you like, we have coloring books and fidgets in the lobby, which are available to both children and adults. Our first announcement is just a reminder, every Tuesday we have a meditation team meeting at 11:30 here, and So the group is, the meditation group's for people of all levels, like whether you're a complete beginner or you've been doing it for a while, including children. We welcome everyone to the meditation group, Tuesdays at 11:30. On the fourth Sunday, there is a lunch. If you have any questions or like additional information, talk to Ann, please.
Do you have one more?
No, and thank you for your patience. At this church, we do imperfection with progress.
So, second announcement, last Sunday, the delegates at the UUA General Assembly voted to adopt the proposed Article 2 bylaws, which includes the language on how we covenant congregation to congregation and through the association. The new language states that love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our 6 shared values. Although there had been some amendments, it's the first significant review and update made in just over 40 years. It will take some time for all of the changes to be rolled out and implemented, so stay tuned over the next upcoming months. And our final announcement, per request from Dick McRobert, the St. Pete Youth Farm is in need of snack or food items for the kids attending their summer camp. This special collection will be Sunday, July 7th, and the items being requested are cookies, ramen noodles, mac and cheese, fruit cups, ice pops to freeze, peanut butter crackers, chips, pretzels, microwave popcorn, peanut butter, jelly, bread, and drink mixes. Please read the rest of your announcements in the order of service, in our weekly newsletter, or on the TV in Gilmore during coffee hour.
As Unitarian Universalists, we're a people of diverse faiths, but we share a common faith that every person is worthy of love, that what we do in this world matters, and that we are connected to one another and the earth. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here. Allow me to give a special welcome to any newcomers. If you are new to UU St. Pete, or even relatively new, can you give us a wave? If you'd like, no pressure, you don't need to. You can briefly introduce yourself. John's gonna bring over a microphone if you would like to introduce yourself. Otherwise, you can say no, and that's okay.
Any takers?
We only bite sometimes. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. Thank you for sharing this moment with us, and thank you for silencing your cell phones. We're about to take a couple of minutes to greet our neighbors. Please remember to get consent if you'd like to hug or shake hands. And if someone being here today brings joy or comfort into your life, please let them know. All right, 2-minute timer, go. as you are willing and able for our first hymn, Meditations on Breathing.
And I'm just going to change that a little. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. Please stay seated. Because I have other work for you to do that'll replace the stand as you're able. Thank you, Allison. So you don't need the book for this hymn. I'm going to teach it to you. And there's a couple of motions you're going to need. We're going to do a little bit of physical language as well as the singing as we do this. So this side, we're going to learn your side first. I'm going to learn your side second, and I'm going to learn my side third, okay? So this side, you have one note for 4 measures, and it just repeats. It's a nice C. So you're going to go like this with your hand out in front of you. You're going to go, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. They already learned it. Okay, so can you learn it as fast, your side? So you have 3 additional kind of motions that you're going to do, okay? The first, one of the motions is love, so everyone do this. So you already learned, okay, so now you just have 2 more to learn, so that's pretty easy. And then one of the motions is while, or when, or as, it's that kind of motion. That looks like this. You ever do that, like when you get there? So you have that going out there, so when. And then the third one is peace. So your hands are going to touch crossed, little turn, and out and down. Okay, so touch, out and down. Okay, hey, I think they have all the motions. And then let me show you what that looks like all together with the music, okay? When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Okay, you can try that with me, right? This side? Okay. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. It's amazing. Everyone learned it. So I'm going to learn my part in a second, but first, we're gonna put everyone together. We'll start over here. I'll get them going, and then you got to keep going, and then I'll bring you in, okay? Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Good. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. Keep going. When I breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. When I breathe in, I will breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I will breathe out love. When I breathe in, I will breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I will breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I will breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I will breathe out love. When I breathe in, I will breathe in peace. everyone on this side's turn. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
That was amazing. All right, good job, everybody. So please remain standing for our chalice lighting. If you'd like to stand if you're willing and able, the flaming chalice is a reminder that we choose to focus here together for this time today, and that we believe that such time is sacred. When Karen Frank lights our chalice, I invite you to say our covenant out loud. The words can be found within your programs and online. Feel free to follow along with the two-hand movement. I skipped a step this morning. We're good. All right. Feel free to follow along with the two-hand movements. Hand to heart, and then hands reaching out like you're serving. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please be seated. So we welcome now any children present. Please join us at the front steps for Time for All Ages. Hello. So we're going to do something fun today, and I'm going to have my friends help me out. So, today's Time for All Ages involves super duper exciting, stupendous raisins. Before we start, step one, parents, are we good with raisins? All right, are we cool with hand sanitizer? All right, perfect. So we're all gonna sanitize our hands, and then we each get a raisin. Hand sanitizer man. Thank you. And so after we give our raisins to the kids, any adults that would like to participate can also participate. Can I have some too? Nora, high five. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, very important. Do not eat the raisins. Do not eat the raisins yet. So, today, we are going to appreciate the raisin. So, first, we look at it. Ooh. Ah. So, when we look at the raisin, what do we see? We see little bumps, little lumpies, lump-a-da-bumps. You see lumpies too. What happens when you hold it up to the light? We can see through it a little. It's translucent. And adult raisins too. Go forth. This is our pretend communion of the day. So, now next, what does the raisin feel like? Yes. It feels bumpy. That's true. What does the raisin feel like? Feels like a cocoon.
Mine feels like a cocoon too.
It feels like a cocoon too. Is it squishy? Yeah. Oh, it is squishy. Now, what does the raisin smell like? What does it smell like?
Hand sanitizer.
It smells like hand sanitizer.
It's like hand sanitizer too.
It does. What does it smell like?
It smells like raisins.
It Smells like raisins. That's right. How is it? Is it different than other foods? Does it smell sweet or spicy or sour?
I think sour.
Sour. It smells sour. So, now hear me out. We're gonna do sound. We're gonna take the raisin to our ear, not in your ear, to your ear, and we're gonna squish it for a second. What does that sound like?
Static.
It sounds like static.
It sounds like sour.
It sounds like sour.
It sounds like static. Coming from a cloud.
Wow, it sounds like static falling from a cloud. Yeah, that squishy sound. All right, now we can taste it. So we're gonna lick the raisin, lick it, and we're gonna take it, and we're gonna bite it, we're gonna chew it. Ah. What does it taste like?
It tastes like sour.
It tastes sour.
Yummy.
It tastes yummy. Does it remind you of anything? All right. So, sight, touch, smell, sound, feel. That's all the senses, right? We got them? So, are there still any flavors in your mouth after you swallow? So we have some nose. You clean that raisin up good. It tastes like apple flavor. So, it's easier. So paying attention like this can help slow our busy brains down. Busy, busy, busy brain. When we have our brains, our minds full of what we're doing right now, it's easier to enjoy ourselves, appreciate what we're doing, and feel calm than when we're busy in our brains. So, all done. Thank you all for being mindful with me, and thank you for anyone else who participated. We will now sing the children to the classes.
So we've come to the time in our worship service for joys, sorrows, and concerns. Those of you on YouTube Live are not in this room, but your presence is still felt. Please type your joys and sorrows into the text chat. If you have a joy, sorrow, or concern to submit during the week, please write to Rev Ben at minister@uustpete.org.
So right now, Lauren Connor will place a stone in the water for each one that was submitted this week. If you have any additional cards that you filled out, please bring them up at this time or ask a neighbor to do so for you. So first we have a stone of concern and caring for Dave Cole, who is currently hospitalized in Newark, New Jersey. He and Karen had a lovely family trip to Italy, but at the end of it, his symptoms started to recur. They flew back to the US, but were not able to continue home. The neurosurgeon will treat him Monday after he receives records from Bayfront. Also, a stone for Karen Cole as she navigates Dave's care.
And just to add on to that, this morning Karen joined us for check-in during our reading discussion group and was in good spirits and, taking it as the day goes along, but she was in good spirits and said to say thank you to anybody who sent her text. She's really appreciated it. She's not replying back, but she definitely appreciates all the thoughts and prayers that are coming her way. I have both a joy and a concern. The joy is that after an effort of more than 4 years, the Article 2 revisions were adopted. Personally, I feel it embraces our 7 principles, but expands upon them and moves us forward as a faith community. The concern is that 20% of the delegates representing their individual churches voted against these changes. And so I'm sure that many in our faith are feeling hurt or questioning their sense of belonging. My hope is that we are held tight in the belief that they are a welcome and needed part of our faith, and that they'll heal over time.
I have a stone of joy from Joanne Kellner for a great trip to the Grand Canyon with my mom.
Oh, yay. No more?
All right, I guess that's it for today. All right, so let us now read our responsive reading. May we bring to mind and hold close to our hearts all those known and unknown who are facing challenges and health concerns. May we strive to respond well to the vulnerability of our community. We remind us all in our own ways to work for the safety and rights of workers everywhere and to be protected and upheld. And that we are using an old template. So that is my fault. I am the new worship lead. And this is my trial by fire for today. So thank you guys for your patience. We'll get that updated for next time.
So I don't even know where we are now. So the struggle is taking longer than it should, but we will get there if we continue to strive for basic human rights.
We are connected even when we feel apart. Let us rejoice in our beloved community that makes of the many one. So may it be. Let us take a minute of silence together.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
All right, hello again. So I hope some of y'all got the raisins. And I hope that that was a good time for the kids and things. So today's service is about renewal through mindfulness. We live in a really complicated world with a lot going on and a lot of responsibilities on our shoulders. With all of everything, it can be really consuming. All of our worries, all of the shoulds and coulds and oh no's and oh geez and oh really? How could they? And how could I? And why did I? And, will we ever? It's a lot. Something to remember, though, is all those thoughts and all that brain chatter is just that. Thoughts. It's not real. It's not reality. Reality is out here with you in this space at this time in this moment. This moment, this one we have right here, is all that we have. Our pasts have come together to make this moment, and our future isn't here yet. When we talk about living here in this world, on this planet, this present moment is all we have. It's the only thing that is real. A wise turtle in a panda doing kung fu cartoon movie once said, "The past is history, the future is a mystery, now is a gift. That's why they call it the present." I may be a nerd, but what are cartoons but time for all ages style fine literature and art? Yeah, it's really funny to me now, but did y'all know that my first introduction to meditation was actually through a cartoon? Some of the cartoons out there today are phenomenal. So non-binary Rebecca Sugar wrote the song "Here Comes a Thought" for her cartoon show that was performed beautifully by singer, actress, and rapper Estelle Soiree. And I'm gonna read some of the words because I feel like it's very meaningful to me and I wanna share it with you. Here comes a thought that might alarm you, what someone said and how it harmed you, something you did that failed to be charming, things that you said are suddenly swarming, and oh, you're losing sight, you're losing touch. All these little things seem to matter so much that they consume you, that I might lose you. Take a moment to remind yourself, to take a moment and find yourself. Take a moment and ask yourself if this is how we fall apart. But it's not, but it's not, but it's not, but it's not, but it's not. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. You've got nothing to fear. I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And it was just a thought, just a thought, just a thought. It's okay. We can watch them go by from here. Mindfulness is our ability to be present here and fully engage with our current environment. Sight, smell, touch, taste, sound. Balance is a sense too, but it's a little different. When our mind is fully engaged on our current experience, the experience itself is sharper, more vivid. When we try to practice presence, we sometimes allow our mind to narrate our experiences, and it detracts from it. If I'm up here saying in my head, "Oh my gosh, I'm standing in front of everybody, people are looking at me," I'm not in this moment, I'm in my head. And I don't get to be here with you guys if I'm in my head. Meditation is a useful tool to practice bringing stillness to our minds and see past all of the chatter. Many religions include mindfulness practices in some way, and there's a ton of research surrounding the practice of mindfulness and its benefits. Some of these benefits include enhanced concentration, focus, and clarity. Mindfulness leads to stress reduction, better emotional regulation, decreased anxiety and negative affect, more mental flexibility, increased feelings of calmness. Why did I write all of these out? Better relationship satisfaction. Mindfulness encourages better self-insight, counteracts implicit bias, increases moral actions, and improves intuition. These are a lot of research studies. Mindfulness even enhances immune functioning and working memory. Thank you for bearing with me for that blah, blah, blah. One thing about me is that my memory is horrible. Like, I have a bad working memory, and I lose long-term precious memories. I often ask my husband to tell me stories about the dates we've been on, or things that we've done with friends or family. There was even a time where my husband and I took our daughter Nora to the ER for a wrist injury, and my husband had to remind me that she had sprained that wrist before. I gave him a few, "Okay, I believe you" comments, and it wasn't until a little bit later that I actually remembered the story and what had happened. And that was a dramatic first incident, so having to pull that back was crazy to me. It's like when I was a kid, I shoved all my books, assignments, notes, and doodles into one giant backpack, and I could only find my homework after I've dug through it at least 5 times and maybe dumped the whole thing out. And that's what my memory feels like. I digress. As someone with a horrible long-term memory, there's one thing that I really, really hope for in an afterlife, if there is one. I want my spirit to go back and see and re-experience those memories that I made here on earth. I'm hoping that I can open a page in the book of my life and feel the warmth of hugging a loved one or smell the mulch from my childhood playground. When I think of mindfulness, I think of the things that are most precious about our lives here on earth, and that's the ability to be a part of it. When I die and I no longer have a body, I'm going to miss feeling a cool breeze, listening to the trees rustle, smelling a cup of coffee, the crunch of a fresh salad, all of the things we feel and experience with our senses when we're not trapped in our heads. And you know what? I'm gonna be crass, guys, and I hope that you guys take this as funny, even though I'm bad at humor. Humor me. So, I want you guys to imagine a group of souls hanging out at an afterlife party. They got the red Solo cups and some balloons, and they're all mixing and mingling, and one says, "Buddy, you know what I miss more than anything? Pooping. Especially them big ones where you have the and the and stand up 5 pounds lighter." I got at least one person laughing. And I know for a fact that everyone poops. So, but that's what I'm talking about. It's the experiences of being human and those little things and those little joys or reliefs that we have each day. Maybe 6, 7 years ago, there was a metaphysical apothecary shop in Tea Room on Central Avenue called Roots of the Sun. It was a lovely place, and it was clear that it was made as a labor of love. The owners were kind and generous. They had acquired herbs sustainably and could tell you exactly what part of the world they were grown and could share the history of the herbs and their uses. I went to a class there once that focused on the art of brewing herbal teas. Yes, I learned things about brew times for different leaves, roots, flowers, seeds, but the thing that stood out to me most is how passionate the teacher was about using tea as a self-care ritual. She advocated for contemplating your day and selecting herbs that will best serve you based on their properties. After she gracefully poured the hot water and covered the teapot, her practice was to meditate and reflect on the tea and the herbs she had used as the tea brewed. She'd imagine the lands the herbs came from and the hands that tended to the plants. She envisioned the sun and the water and the soil from that environment that came together in a special way to nurture those plants. She encouraged us to breathe in the steam in the air and allow the scent of the herb to fill our senses. Did it smell earthy, sharp, spicy, or gentle? What color was the tea and how did it change as it brewed? As I was writing this, my daughter Nora brought over a candle that had been lovingly made by Krissa and given to us during the Cups Litha celebration. I had the opportunity to encourage her to smell the candle. I described the herbs and the scents of the candle to her. We took a moment to admire the soft pink color and the crystals and the sparkles. I shared that this candle symbolizes bravery, which is doing hard things even when we are afraid. If I wasn't in a place of mindfulness and instead was busily trying to rush through the day, type this out, instead of doing it at 4 a.m. this morning, I would have missed that moment. But instead, by being present and taking a moment to mindfully appreciate a little thing, we shared a moment of connection. And through this act of appreciation and gratitude, we connect to the interconnected web of life that makes these moments possible. Marie Kondo, author of the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, brings a sense of reverence to everyday tasks, such as folding laundry. I have a brief excerpt from her book on the subject, where she's talking about the process of doing laundry, something that I know I don't like to do, and I'm sure a lot of y'all don't like to either. As you run your hands over the cloth, you pour your energy into it. The Japanese word for healing is tae, which literally means to apply hands. The term originated prior to the development of modern medicine, when people believed that placing one's hand on an injury promoted healing. The energy that flows from the person's hands into our skin seems to heal both the body and soul. The same is true for clothing. When we take our clothes into our hands and fold them neatly, we are, I believe, transmitting energy which has a positive effect on our clothes. It is an act of caring, an expression of love and appreciation for the way these clothes support your lifestyle. Therefore, when we fold, we should put our heart into it, thanking our clothes for protecting our bodies. In this way, I encourage all of you to incorporate mindfulness into your day-to-day practices. Pour love and appreciation into each moment with everything and everyone whose lives touch yours. Through experiencing the present moment fully, we can renew our spirit and connect with a world without letting it pass us by. Thank you.
For this song, I invite you, if you hold something in your mind, to hold a photo album of who would be in that photo album, friends, family. If you're someone who doesn't imagine things in your mind, feel free to make a list, if you will, of who would be in that photo album. Can you tell me who called a race? Can anyone stay in one place? And when you get to the finish line, will you wish for more time or say one day you will, and maybe one day you will find that you just can't push rewind. All we have is this moment. Tomorrow's unspoken. Yesterday is history. So why don't you be here with me? All we have is this moment to put our love into motion. Yesterday is history. So why don't you be here with me? Be here with me now. Do you ever think that we're just chasing our tails? That life is one big fast treadmill, and we pop just about anything if it gets us first prize. But you know who I think will win are the ones who let love in, are the ones who take the time. All we have is this moment. tomorrow's unspoken. Yesterday is history. So why don't you be here with me? All we have is this moment to put our love into motion. Yesterday is history. So why don't you be here with me? Be here with me now. Be here with me now. 'Cause the future is right now, right in front of you. Don't let the clock tell you what to do. The future is right now, right in front of you. My friends, don't blink and miss this moment. Tomorrow's unspoken. Yesterday is history. So why don't you be here with me? All we have is this moment to put our love into motion. Yesterday is history. So why don't you be here with me? Be here with me now.
Thank you, Todd. Today's a little bit of show and tell. I used to love show and tell growing up and figured I might as well do it. So Mother Teresa is quoted as saying, "Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love." Now, of course, she was talking or referring to doing small things for people that we are in service of. But I want to kind of flip it around and talk about small things, doing small things for myself. If I can do small, mindful things for myself, then aren't I just showing myself the love, dignity, and worthiness that I want to show others? And in doing that bit of self-care, I'm able to be more present for the others. Keeping myself centered isn't always an easy thing. Here are my calendar entries for the past week and a half. Periodontal scaling of the lower left quadrant of my mouth. Business meetings for General Assembly. Scaling of the left quadrant of my mouth. Worship team meeting. More GA meetings. Reading group. Church. Final session of GA. Root canal. Periodontal scaling of the final 2 quadrants, the whole right side of my mouth. An appointment with my HIV doctor, Zoom meeting with my beloved conversation pod, therapist appointment, and trust me, he earned his money that day. A 12-step Zoom meeting, and I'm not talking about 12-step because of a Zoom room addiction, but 12-step meeting on Zoom. Mohs surgery for basal cell carcinoma on my nose, in case you're wondering why I have this lovely bandage there. Rite of many reflection, reading group, and then worship associate. Now granted, I don't normally have so many appointments, but there are simply not enough hours in the day to complete all that needs to be completed. And frankly, most days seem like a frantic race to make it to appointments, do household chores, and handle volunteer commitments. I can sometimes get close to getting them all done, but it always feels just a little bit off-centered. And so I was prepping for today's service and reflection. I realized that I never returned to one of my morning rituals after moving to the new place in October. I was doing parts of it, but the intentionality was absent. And so I have to wonder, how much of an impact has this had on me? And so what's that morning ritual? Coffee, of course. But not so much the caffeine, although that is a nice added bonus, but the manner in which I made the coffee, drank the coffee, and experienced the coffee. Many of you know Danny Skursbeck, and pre-COVID there was a Wednesday morning reading group that we both attended. And one day, after the reading group, she asked if I'd like a Japanese tea set that she had in the car because she was going to be dropping it off at Casa. So prior to retiring, Danny was a social worker and living in Kansas, and she had a client who was dying from AIDS-related complications. And she purchased this Japanese tea set from him, and it was basically him selling off his life's belongings before he died. You know, she thought of me, and knowing that I had HIV made her think, you know, maybe he would want this tea set. And so she asked me if I'd want it, and of course, I thought it was a very sweet thought of hers, and so I accepted the gift. And so at home I had this little Italian mocha coffee maker that brewed the perfect amount of espresso to fill the teacups. And then several months later, Pete and Linda, who are here, they had bought a new Nespresso coffee maker, and so I was a lucky recipient and inherited their old one. But rather than buy the little pods because of the environment and I'm cheap and they're expensive, I make this whole process of filling these little pods, you know, grinding the coffee, smelling the coffee as it's being ground, packing this little pod, putting this little silver thing, foil on top, and having it ready. It's really a lovely process for OCD people like myself to do. And then I heat the cup up. I pour boiling water into my cup to heat it up so that's nice and warm and hot already when I put the coffee into it. And I have this perfect little spoon to get the perfect amount of sugar out of the sugar bowl that always sat on my Grandma Mary's and my Grandpa Bird's tables the entire time I was growing up. And then usually I'd go and sit on the couch after with my coffee, and I'd have my iPad, and I would do Wordle or Connections or read a book, sometimes nothing at all. But I would just sit there in solitude. And by the time I finished that cup of coffee, sometimes a second cup, I'd be ready to face the day. Now, I didn't always get everything done back then either, but at least it was a little bit stressful when I did the work. And so really, how can this make that big of a difference? It's a cup of coffee in a hand-me-down cup, made in a hand-me-down coffee maker, using a tiny spoon from IKEA that my brother is now 2 spoons short of his silverware. It's the perfect size. It's not good for anything else. And the sugar coming from sugar cup, sugar bowl, that's not really my style. It's a hunt scene. I've never owned a gun or hunted. And I have to polish it about once a week from the tarnish. So I can look at it that way, or I can look at it that it's a cup of coffee made because of the 2 gifts from friends that I met here in the UUSB community. Friends like Glenn or Chris, they stopped by to remind me of what they might have done if HIV hadn't cut their life so short. My grandma and grandpa are there, and they were a big part of my growing up. And so they're in there to remind me of the values that they helped to instill in me. It's a memory. It's, like I said, Bill's spoons that he's now 2 spoons short. Sorry, Bill, if you're watching. It's the memory of all that I saw and processed after my visit to Rwanda. That was a place that had the absolute best coffee I've ever had in my life. I had the incredible experience of standing 4 feet from a silverback gorilla in the wild, but I also had to deal with the horrors of a genocide. So when I do things with intent and mindfulness, I'm not sure exactly where it might take me on any given day, but by placing a level of importance on that action, it centers me in a way that helps normalize some of the craziness of life. That can be truly empowering. If I can be intentional in raising the status of a simple cup of coffee into a rich, bittersweet elixir that sets the tone for my day, just think what I can do when I use that same mindful approach in dealing with the demands of life. I still have to have a temporary crown put on Monday morning. I still have to look at my neighbor's flag every day when I walk out of the house. And he's replaced the F Biden flag, but it's now a picture of Trump superimposed on the American flag, which I didn't think was respectful of the American flag, but and I still have to juggle a list of things to get done that I know I'm not going to get complete. And I can do it, though, from a place centered in love. A cup of coffee shouldn't make that big of a difference, but in actuality, these last few days of reconnecting with that practice and that ritual shows me that it does. Thank you. We are so grateful to have this beautiful building, our wonderful staff, our shared services, but most importantly, your presence. Let's now offer what monetary gifts we're able to ensure that we take care of this place. The offering will now be given to take care of this fabulous community.
Thank you. What's given in love is received with great joy, and we say thank you. Now please rise as you're willing and able for our closing hymn, Find a Stillness. It's number 352 in the gray hymnal.
For this song, I want you to pay attention to those first two lines. They're like little commands to the self. Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness. The second line, find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence. Are you aiming those commands at you, at the world, the spirit? Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
ahead and be seated. Two things before the closing words is, one, if somebody lost a Gasparilla Classic pen, it will be up here after the service. And the second thing is, I have to tell you, in all the sense of mindfulness and intent, what it is like to be able to stand up here and look and have all of you looking back. It's really a beautiful sight, so I thank everybody for coming. It warms the heart, it truly does. The closing words are excerpted from Fluent in Faith, a Unitarian Universalist Embrace of Religious Language by Jean Harrison Nirajar. Aren't you lucky, we are likely to say to children when something fortuitous or bountiful happens to them? Aren't we lucky to catch a glimpse of the deer in the woods? Aren't you lucky to have such a great, wonderful Aunt Sarah? Aren't we lucky to have a sunny day for the trip to the beach? But luck implies simply a chance of fate. Grace is far richer and deeper. Grace suggests that there is benevolence in the universe, a source of love and beauty, which in some measure is responsible for the elegance of the deer and the warmth of Aunt Sarah. It opens us to the sense of divine in our lives. Grace is something you never get, but only be given, says Frederick Buechner. To pursue moments of exceptional beauty, clarity, or serenity would be fruitless. But to be open to receiving the gift that is available to us is another matter. The colors of the sunset, the birds on the water, the tenderness in our loved one's face will be there whether we notice it or not. It's akin to mindfulness. Gifts are available to us all the time, but they will pass us by unless we are open to see and to feel and to celebrate. Now please remain seated as Tim plays our postlude.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows? What's on the other side?
Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it,
The rainbow connection,
the lovers and
the dreamers and me. Who said that every wish would be heard and answered when wished on the morning star?
somebody thought of that, and someone believed it, and look what it's done so far. What's so amazing that keeps us stargazing, and what do we think we might see? Someday we'll find it,
The rainbow connection,
the lovers,
the dreamers and me.
all of us under the spell. We know that it's probably magic.
Have you been half asleep, and have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name. Hey Kermit.
Is this the sweet sound that calls a young sailor? The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. Something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it.
The rainbow connection,
The and dreamers and me. La da da dee da da do. La da 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 dee da do.
All right, now it's time for us. Hi, can you hear me now? There we go. All right, we invite you to follow along with the hand gestures, the light of truth, the warmth of love, the fire of courage, and into our hearts, out into the world. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of courage. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. So we do have coffee after the service today. As a reminder, during the summer, we are not going to have food except for the fourth Sunday of every month, and this Sunday is the 5th. Does not count. But if you have a medical need where you do need to have a snack, or if you have a child that is basically a medical need, you're welcome to ask the hospitality team, and they will be hospitable towards you. And Reverend Ben will also be in the library for conversations with the minister after the service. So thank you guys very much.